Hello everyone, my name is Cetus and welcome to my Let's Play of Star Wars Empire at War Forces of Corruption. This is a game I've been thinking about quite a bit recently because some friends of mine and I have been playing Star Wars Armada, which is a very interesting board game of such. Uh, and I've been wanting to play this. Now, unfortunately, I have turned off the music, which is fantastic as you would expect anything to be with Star Wars. However, it is very Star Wars music, and I'm kind of making the assumption that it will probably get copyright claimed if I upload Star Wars music to YouTube. So let's kind of dive in here because I do love this game and I'm very excited to show it. Now, there's quite a few. There's like what, five or six here. Map types that we can choose. There's kind of equal footing, which is massive. And I'll just say there are three sides. Uh, the Zong Consortium is something that for people who have read any of the expanded universe books, starting with the primary Thrawn series, will be familiar with. Is basically can't think of the term I'm looking for right now, but he's basically a criminal organization, and he plays interestingly in this game because they have a few because Zahn is the main guy, but the organization plays interestingly because you'll have a few planets, but mostly you'll be corrupting and living on top of the other empires, being the rebellion and the empire itself. So they can be quite interesting. However, we're going to play as the Empire because it's the Empire and I want Star Destroyers. And it's kind of as simple as that. Now, there's a few interesting maps that you can choose. Equal footing. It's the biggest one, 55 planets, tons of stuff going on. Origin Corruption, kind of just the right side of the map. Gateways, just kind of a spattering of planets across the galaxy, 27 of them. Rimworld Conflict, 36 planets. It's a good sized one. I've always kind of liked this one because it's a little bit more contained in control. You just have the edges. Clusters, you have a couple of little groupings, so you have some nice defendable points. It's a good medium sized map. And Heart of the Maw, really small, to the point. Just kind of get it done. I think I don't want to go on the massive side of things for this one. So I think I'm going to play Origin of Corruption. I've played a ton of this game, and I've never actually played this map. I think I normally play Rimworld or Equal Footing most of the time. But let's try this out, because I want something on the smaller side, but not tiny. We're going to play on hard, because I played a lot of this game, and I was, at any rate, very good at it. It's been a little while, but I'm going to hope I'm still very good at it. And it's the Empire, so we should be fine, right? The one fear I have with this is there is a very trapped in defensive mode uh, that can happen where you just kind of get stuck in battle after battle with the same fleet that you can win, because the AI in this is not the best, and oh stuff is happening because I forgot it's a real time game. Seems like a turn-based game, but it's not. It's real time, so that's a great start. Uh, what was I talking about? So I really don't remember, so we'll just move on. So we begin here with Coruscant in the middle, as you would expect. Well, the middle top, kind of. You can see everything in yellow has been corrupted by the Zon Consortium, and they gain money for every planet they have, uh, and they can do things. They can attack the ground. So I guess I should say there is ground and space combat in this game. The space combat is fantastic. The ground combat is decent enough to have fun with, but not particularly fantastic. Uh, the Zon Consortium, if they have it corrupted, they can come in and attack the ground regardless of what's going on with the ships. When normally you would have to come and take over the space around the planet before you could land troops. Now, the Rebellion can do that as well, but only to the planet immediately next to them. For the Zon Consortium, as you can see, they have a ton corrupted, so if they only own these two planets, they could come up here and attack the ground. Well, actually, the Maw is going to be space only because it's a nebula of sorts. But yeah, they could come and just attack the ground and do damage. Lets them be interesting, but I don't want to get too into the talking about things. So without showing it, because I think showing will be easiest. Now we began at tech level 1, so we don't have Star Destroyers. What we have, if we zoom in here, what we have are the accumulator class cruisers, which are basically leftover ships from the Clone Wars, for all intents and purposes. They show you the ships they're strong against. As much as they say they're strong against it, they're kind of not great. The interesting thing with the Empire is you don't make fighters. So as the Rebellion or the Zon Consortium, you'd have to build your fighters and bombers and stuff like that. But the Empire builds carriers, like Star Destroyers, or in this case, an accumulator class cruiser, and fighters and bombers spawn from them. You can see this one says it carries 3 TIE fighter squadrons and 1 TIE bomber squadron. And it's just kind of generically okay. It's not great. It's generically okay. They'll get blown up very quickly. We have broadside cruisers. They're basically long-range missile frigates that sit at a very long distance and just eat away at ships. These are lovely because missiles don't get affected by shields, so they can be devastating and they do area of effect damage. However, they're not very strong if they get caught out by enemy ships, and they're an easy target for things like bombers to fly around and hit because they're going to be far away from the fight. Tartan patrol cruisers. These are the Empire's very fast kill fighters. That's simply what this ship's job is, to hunt down fighters and destroy them. Fighters, bombers, anything like that. They are weak against some of the faster, more potent ships of the other fleets, because you don't really want them fighting ships. You want them fighting squadrons. We begin with Boba Fett. He's a bounty hunter. He can do land or ground. Wait, those are the same. He can do space or ground, so you get Slave 1 if you're in space, where he's really good at killing fighters and bombers as well. And on the ground, you get, Boba Fett with a flamethrower and all that fun stuff. We have the TIE Scout Squadron, which is pretty much useless. It's kind of a throw it around and see where things are. It's fast. It can go out and explore space. I honestly have no use for these. I never have had use for these. They're just the thing that dies. And we'll probably lose this ship in a fight we automate without even seeing it. Now, on the ground, we have some stormtroopers stationed on Coruscant. We have some AT-ST walkers. There is some fun things about the ground. For example, it's like they say they're weak. The trooper there is a guy with a rocket launcher because they're not super strong. But little guys with lasers, like the equivalent of stormtroopers for the other sides, aren't going to do much damage because it's just armor. And also, one of my favorite things, these guys can just walk over top of troops. So there's lots going on there. There's a surprising amount of depth. We have Emperor Palpatine. His best use is that any planet he's on or above gets a reduction in cost to building things by 25%. That's huge. So we're going to be sending him around to do that all the time. And we begin with Grand Moff Tarkin. He gains us our ships are 25% better in space, and he also reduces the production costs of research facilities at the current location. Tend to just put him with my primary fleet to run things. Oh, I'm paused. You can't change things when you're paused, which is really interesting because it's a real-time game. So if you're paused, you can't make any adjustments. I think you can queue up things. Yeah, you can queue up things, but you can't move things around. As for the ground stuff, let's see what we got going. We have a barracks, which allows us to build stormtroopers and scout troopers and unlock some buildings. We have the light factory, which allows us to build AT-STs, TIE Molars. TIE Molars are basically these TIE fighters on the ground, which have tracks. They're not really strong about anything except for they are incredibly fast and they run things over. So their job is quite literally to run around the map and run over any infantry. It's kind of brutal and inefficient. We can also build the MDU Company, which is a little portable turret creation thing. So it can drive around. You can build EM field generators to, it's EM field. It prevents some abilities from working and stuff, makes grenades less useful. There's sensor nodes, grenade launchers, portable turrets. Now let's see what we want to build here.
Building canceled.
So research facility is important because we're going to want to really quickly be able to tech up, because at the moment we can't build anything that is really good. Everything's kind of junk at tech level 1. The Officer Academy, which allows you to build field commanders and fleet commanders. They're basically baby versions of Grand Moff Tarkin, making fleets better or ground troops better. They're useful to have if you have more fleets and troops than you have, admirals like Tarkin. I don't generally have that, and on this smaller map, I don't think we'll have that problem. There is a benefit to building multiple of the same building, which I always thought was interesting. If you have multiple barracks, you'll build stormtroopers faster. But at this point, not a big deal for us. What we probably want is money. So mining facilities, every mining facility you build on a planet, you gain more money. Right now, we're gaining 160 per cycle per day, which is not a lot. This planet has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slots, so we can build quite a few things on it. Now, here's one of the really interesting things, and I'm sorry, I'm explaining a lot, and I think there's just going to be a lot of explanation in this first episode to give you guys a good sense of it. If we click on the base layout, we see the actual planet. And this is one of my favorite things. You can move where on the planet these buildings exist, because when you are attacked, your buildings will automatically create troops to help you defend. So you want them in defendable locations. Later on, we'll unlock tech to build shield generators and I can't think of the name right now, but basically giant cannons that protect you and all sorts of fun stuff like that. Actually, you can kind of see the outline here where the shield generators will protect if we get them up. And they are very potent and very useful to get. So that's fun, because you can build some very defendable locations that are very hard for people to take. If we jump over to space, right now we can just build probes, these little Taunton patrol cruisers, and our terrible little accumulator class cruisers. Nothing very impressive. On the right side, we can see, just as a quick highlight, we have 2 buildings built and a level 3 space station. When you take a place, you have to build level 1, and you can slowly build up, etc., etc. The higher it is, the more fighters it spawns, the more upgrades it allows you to give your ships in the fight, the more powerful, like the more guns it has itself. A level 5 station is very difficult to take and very difficult to lose. Kind of need to work at both of those. And I think that's a good highlight at this point. Unit capacity, that's interesting. You can only have so many units depending on how many planets you own. We are kind of near cap. Yeah, actually, we're over by 3, probably, so can't build nothing. Let's zoom out. We don't know where the rebels are. We don't know where the Zon Consortium is, though we know it's going to irritate us. We probably want to expand quickly, because we only have 1 planet. We're going to turn on all these indicators, which makes the map a lot more useful to see what's going on. So you can see very quickly, this can only have a level 4 space station. This can have a level 5. This is Corellia. This is where some good space docks are. While this planet is controlled, all Corellian coverts cost 20% less. Yeah. So not useful for us, useful for the rebels, but we don't want them to have it. You can also see the little thing, there's rain, so when it's raining, accuracy of lasers is reduced. Coruscant is a high money producer. I like Coruscant becoming just money, if I can get there. If I can get enough planets around that it's protected. Let's take a quick look. So these 3 planets can all be hyper jumped to directly. There is a chain you have to follow, but these ones are direct. So we have some choices. I think we're going to want to grab these 2 planets quickly, but it will be hard to protect them. But we don't know where everyone is. So there's kind of an initial rush period where you got to jump out quickly and grab stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to resume. We're going to move one of these over. One of these. We're going to split our fleet in half. We'll just throw that one in there because why not? You go and grab that. You go and grab that.
I'll get there.
Now let's grab some troops and some troops. We'll just put Emperor Palpatine in space there. Hope that's fine. We're going to move these over. Oh, the rebels already own that. Kind of looks like it. Let's see what happens. I actually want Boba Fett to join in the ground fight if there's going to be a ground fight.
System control
No, okay.
achieved.
They had nothing there, so it's just ours.
Invasion commencing.
This one, however, is an invasion. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that so quickly. I don't think they have any base units, so this is going to be whatever troops they got here. So they rushed out, took this planet with something. We rushed out. It's going to come down to who has the most troops, which will be interesting. So let's dive in. We'll manually control this. We don't know what's going on. Human population, production boost. This is just quickly seeing if there's anything. Some planets have like people who get involved for different sides. Like the planet is loyal to one side or another. So, okay, I also always enjoyed this. This is our landing point. We began with 2 of our stormtroopers down. We can have a max of 5 units.
Is at risk of falling into the hands of the rebels. Mount a defense that will send them crawling back into their holes.
Yes,
Choose
sir.
your reinforcements.
So you can call down reinforcements. You can't have all your troops down at once, and you have to call them down at reinforcement points. And the more reinforcement points, you can see we have one here and there's one over there. The more you have, the more troops you can get. Now we don't have that many troops, so we're gonna bring these guys down. Land some troops. These are little places that you can take and hide your troops in, so they're stronger. These are places where if you capture them, you can build. Actually, let's pause. Where if you capture them, you can build turrets and healing units and all sorts of fun stuff. Now, one of the things the game does, and this kind of backfires at this level, but it is for our sanity, is when you get to the point that there are not a lot of troops on the map anymore, it reveals the entire map so that you don't have to spend 20 hours trying to hunt down the one group of soldiers hiding in a corner. This is an incredibly nice thing for making life better, but it's odd in the beginning of the game when fights are small armies. Like later on we'll have massive armies, but at this point we don't. So now I just immediately see where everyone is, and it's interesting. So the indigenous human civilian population is loyal to the rebels, which means the Zon Consortium, which owns the planet, they don't help them out. Where the Empire, they don't help us. So they're basically just neutral pain in the butt troops. What we want to kill is the yellow units over here. The blending in there. So they just have some basic grenadiers, strong against infantry, weak against everything else. And more grenadiers. And more grenadiers. So this isn't going to be too hard of a fight, because literally we're going to have our AT-STs walk over top of them. Now we don't want to be, careless, because they'll probably build some defensive structures and etc, but I think we'll be good. And this episode might become a little bit longer than I normally go for,
Moving to secondary position.
but it will be good to finish up this battle. If you selected a bunch, they go as slow as the slowest unit, which in this case is going to be the stormtroopers. Every unit has abilities, so the stormtroopers can take cover. They move slower, but they take reduced damage. The AT-STs have the barrage ability. You basically click it, you click a location, and they do a ton of damage to everything in that area. Oh, I didn't even notice them catching up. So we're going to have our troops go into cover and attack this. Not going to be a very exciting first fight, because the ground combat is the weaker part of this game. and B, this is not a fight with a lot of impressive units. It's literally some stormtroopers slaughtering some people.
On my way.
Which, you know, I guess we're doing whatever. Yeah, and they're retreating now because they have nothing. So that's another one of the interesting things in this game that I really love is you can retreat. On the ground, it's harder because you got to get to an extraction point, one of those little icons where you can land troops. That's where you can retreat from, and you don't lose your troops if you do that. And in space, you just need to be unobstructed so you can hyperspace away. Unless there's interdictor cruises, which, yes, the Empire gets. So they lost nothing and we lost nothing because they retreated.
System control achieved.
But this planet is now ours, and we auto-remove the corruption when you first take it. Doesn't stop them from coming back and doing it later, which they probably will, but it's a good start.
Corruption has been removed.
So let's just pause for a quick moment, do a quick summary, and probably call this an episode. So now we have 3 planets. We're making 483, which is better, but these are not very protected, and we are spread out. Fortunately, the enemy isn't going to have a lot of massive fleets either. But we got to make some, we'll have to think about and make some choices for moving forward. Because we can see, I like defensible points. Corellia is great because it's 1 point and it leads to the rest of the Empire. But we don't want to be small either. Kuat is a great planet because Imperial Star Destroyers cost 20% less to build. It is one of the few planets where you can build the top ship. So basically, Imperial Star Destroyers, Mon Calamari cruisers, which is the massive Liberty class ones, can only be built on a few planets with dedicated shipyards. This is one of them. So we kind of need that planet. Or we'll eventually need it. I don't remember. The Maw can build them, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember what other planets here. It's an interesting map. It's got interesting planets. Corbin, nice. Some weird outskirt planets too. It's interesting. Camino is nice because you get the healing powers and you can build super cheap because you can clone. You gain access to the cloning facilities if you own this planet, so you can build super cheap whatever your main infantry unit is, which is kind of fun. And then over here, I kind of got distracted. We're going to want to grab that because that planet's kind of in our Empire. And then we got to think, you know, what do we want to grab here and here? I mean, the reality is we want to grab all of it and as much as possible, but we don't have any defensive units right now. We don't even have a level 1 space station to defend. So, you know, it's an interesting early stage. What we'll probably do is get space stations building in these places, move forward and conquer these 2 planets, and see where that goes. Depending on where, I don't remember the hyperspace lanes here, but if there's no access here, we'll probably come grab this. And we might grab this anyway. The very last thought I'll leave you guys with is there are, at tech level 3, I think, ground buildings you can build that attack space. And if you can get those going, you can make things really hard to take. Because you just have you know, like the ion cannon that you've seen in the movies, right? That just shoots space ships from the ground. It's very powerful, and it can make basically with some of those and a level 5 space station untouchable. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you're as interested in the game as I am as excited to play it, and I hope to see you in the next episode.